Art that doesn't stick with you here is not because the artist lacks skill, it's because it was never designed as a system. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I built a system in 3 different layers that makes the artist-viewer connection inevitable. Let me show you what I mean. On the surface, it is simple. An astronaut, a bike, and a melting popsicle. But underneath that, there is emotional contrast, eye movement, intentional silence, and structure holding the whole thing together. The piece is called Astro Bike. It's 48 by 68, and I want to walk you through it almost like a museum tour. Not just what you're looking at, but what is your brain actually doing while you're looking at it. Because in this piece, the viewer, you, is the astronaut. So the question is not just why do you like it, but why does it stay with you? Layer 1, the surface. This is the door that invites you into the adventure the piece offers. This is the part that your mind understands almost immediately. I chose an astronaut first because of the suit itself. Visually, it's one of the puffiest, baggiest forms you can put on a human body. It's not trying to show off muscles, it's not trying to communicate ego, it's just chill, but with the opposite unassuming strength. It's beautiful contrast, because an astronaut is one of the most serious professions we can imagine, but the uniform is soft and puffy, almost like a military uniform made from clouds. Then the helmet takes it even further. Once you hide the face behind the dark glass, the visor, the person inside stops being one specific person. It can become anyone. This is when the viewer can project themselves into it, and your brain does this on autopilot. The bike is where the piece becomes extra human. If the astronaut were floating, that would make sense, but it would make too much sense. Now, if the astronaut were walking instead of floating, that would be more human, sure, but that's still something you can imagine an astronaut doing. Now, riding a bicycle, a bike is everyday life. It's very earth. So it creates this contrast, making it both serious and absurd at the same time. Fun fact is I was actually inspired by an image of somebody riding a bicycle while wearing an armor from medieval times. That idea stuck with me. Somebody dressed for something epic while doing something completely mundane just for the sake of it. And then there's the melting popsicle. To me, that's the kid inside of us. When you're a kid and ice cream melts on your hand, you don't really care it's melting. You just enjoy the moment. But as adults, we rush to clean the mess and chaos, and we don't let ourselves experience the joy. So the popsicle is not just a random funny object. It's the astronaut daydreaming about presence, which is, I guess, presence itself. The popsicle softens the seriousness of the suit. It brings the whole piece back to something more simple, more human, more alive. So that first surface layer is a relatable invitation. It gives you symbols that you immediately understand, and then it opens the door for you to enter into deeper layers. Layer number 2 is the experience. This is where the image stops becoming just an image and it starts becoming a journey for your eyes. For me, the eye starts at the helmet, the strongest contrast against the light gray background, and it aligns with the center line of the piece. From there, the eye can travel down the arms, across the handlebars, and back again. It loops, just as if you were taking a weekend trip, but then you came back home Sunday evening. So the helmet becomes home base. You can travel across the piece in different directions, take little adventures, but it keeps bringing you back to a breather on the astronaut's visor. Now, in the layer of experience, it's not just the subject, but what is around the subject. But I guess in this case, what is not around the subject. There's no sky, no room, no floor line, no extra environment, just this cool gray and emptiness that matters. It gives the piece space to breathe. So if the first layer was the invitation and the second layer is the ride, the third layer is the structure. This is the part that most people do not consciously name, but they absolutely feel it. Structurally, the piece sits inside a triangle. The cast shadow creates the base, the astronaut and the bike build the body, and the thought bubble helps create the upward form. Triangles feel stable, balanced, and strong. But also, if you notice, I never drew an actual floor line for the base of the triangle. I only suggested it with the projected shadow. And that is enough. Your brain finishes the rest to complete the picture inside your head. Just like in the second layer of experience we had space to breathe, in the third layer of structure, it's also about what I chose not to include. I removed the spokes from the wheels. You already know it's a bike. Drawing the spokes and the wheels would have been noise, which would have been counterproductive to the sense of weightless balance. I also implemented broken edges and incomplete lines in some places, because your brain will automatically fill those in your head, like a puzzle. It's engaged, and that will be more interesting than if I filled everything in for you. It's similar to a mystery novel. If I tell you a story that is supposed to be mysterious, but I tell you everything about it, then there's no mystery to keep you engaged. But if I leave spaces in the right places for your brain to get the spark, your brain is engaging with the piece without you even knowing it. In that moment, when we get lost in an art piece, that's pure presence. Maybe sometimes even transformative for a split second. And to me, seeing that in people's experiences makes it all worth it. This is also true in the way that I made this piece. A lot of this piece came from tedious stencil work with an X-Acto knife, spray layers, and then fluid acrylic detail. And one thing I've learned as an artist is that every process has its suffering. You either choose the suffering of the brush or the suffering of the X-Acto knife. So just choose the suffering that you enjoy. To balance the clean exact finish, I have to accept there are a couple of mistakes. And the glaring one is right in front of you, the front bike wheel. The wheel's hub is actually slightly off-center. When I sketched this piece, I gridded the piece by hand instead of using a projector. So that opened the process to human error. It's something most people don't see, but I do. And in earlier years, that would have driven me mad. But honestly, I kind of love it now, because it reminds me that this piece can still be strong, clean, and resonant, especially because the human hand leaves a trace of imperfection. Because just like life is not perfect, neither should this piece, and that's okay. People, places, and experiences are not memorable because they're perfect. They're memorable because through their imperfections, they can end up feeling perfect, but only if we're open to it. And this is why I think about art as a visual system. The more layers we work together into the system, the more cohesive the piece becomes. And that starts to resonate beyond just the surface level and starts creating genuine connections between us. So here are key takeaways. The surface is the door, the experience is the journey, and the structure is what makes it feel all just right, including imperfections. And the cohesiveness of it all is what makes it feel inevitable. If you enjoyed this kind of breakdown, subscribe and let me know in the comments what piece from my portfolio you'd like me to break down next. I also have some exciting creative direction topics I'm going to unbox with you in the following videos. So thank you, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Daniel Mendez, this is Apoco Studios, and I'll see you in the next one.